Hello, I'm John Kleiss of TISL Media. Now, we're trying a new thing here called TISL Talk, where we take people from each side of the bill and have them debate. So, we're looking at a heavy one here, an act to abolish the death penalty in the state of Tennessee. So, Senator Carlisle here, he is fully against the bill, meaning he's for the death penalty, and Senator Ashlyn here, she is all for the bill and strongly opposed to the death penalty. So they're going to go at it. They promised to say relatively civilized. So let's get started. Senator Carlisle, we'll start with you.
All right, well, John, I think we're always civilized here at TISL. We never, ever get into fights. The biggest issue is John Locke talks about the government's only role is the protection of property. That includes yourself, your well-being, your home, your family. People who violate that most basic right, the right to property, I feel are going completely against the idea of humanity and are challenging that and aggressively acting against it. And those people, especially those who commit murder, mass murder, why should the taxpayers be forced to pay for them to be living in prison, receiving 3 meals a day? All right, granted, it's not the best way to live. It still is living. And there they are ending lives of one to many other people. I think that's an absolute insult to the basic ideas of America and our protection of property.
All right, over to you.
Thank you. I think the debate needs to be on what the actual death penalty is, and that is a faulty system that fails and fails time and time again. And if we want to treat murderers, serial killers, people that do terrible and evil things, by all means, we need to have a way to do that. But right now, the justice system isn't providing justice through the death penalty. Because 1 in 1,000 people are innocent. We've recently found that 18 people through DNA have been killed that were innocent, just within the U.S. On top of that, you're subjecting this to juries. We like to think that juries are impartial and that it's a committee of your peers and that whatever happens is completely towards the law, but at the end of the day, juries can be swayed either way. And you have people that might be more deserving of the death penalty that don't get it, and then you have people that don't deserve the death penalty and do get it. And unfortunately, that's just a reality. And I think that we can't get rid of our entire justice system, but we need to start with where the problems are, and the death penalty is a major problem because it hurts those that are innocent, and while it is a little bit more expensive to let people stay there for life, you don't risk losing the innocent lives that don't deserve to be there.
Senator Carlisle, over to you.
In my response to the idea of innocent lives being lost, I completely agree. Yes, 18 people in the past 5 years through DNA, and I think that's absolutely abhorrent. The thing is, it's not a problem with the death penalty. It's a problem with the criminal justice system. What we first need to look at is how to reform that system. Perhaps the way we go about cases that have the potential to have the death penalty wouldn't be by trial by jury. Perhaps it would be by a trial of lawyers or other judges. Perhaps those cases need to be taken into a separate court rather than just abolishing the death penalty. We have an overcrowding of prisons, and I understand it may sound really, really terrible of me to say. We've got a lot of people on death row. They're going to die. That's their sentence. Let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. One of the other senators, Senator Parham from Jackson, said that we need to put them on the express train to that. And while I may not completely agree with that statement, I do think there should be a certain amount of appeal because of the current way the justice system is set up. So my response to the other senator, while we, I think, agree on a lot of issues, and this is one we disagree on, I believe the issue isn't with the death penalty, it's with the criminal justice system, and we have to find out first a way how to reform that in order to prevent those innocent lives from being lost. I mean, we both agree the loss of life is a terrible thing. One thing I mentioned in the Senate when we were debating this bill, one thing you'll find interesting, if you'll find pro-lifers who will defend the life of an unborn child, and yet at the same time they'll completely defend the idea of killing a murderer. And I kind of fall along those same lines. I do agree with that statement. One is innocent, the other one is a murderer, a criminal, a convict, someone who has once again acted in violence towards the basic ideals of humanity. I don't see why we should be paying for those people. I know you mentioned it's a little bit extra, it's a lot bit extra to keep them for life if they go away, via death penalty at the age of 40. and they stay in until the age of 60, 65. That's a lot more money than it is just to have them, lethal injection.
All right, now we're in the thick of things. Back over to you, Senator.
Thank you. So you mentioned the cost, and this is a question that I think everyone needs to ask themselves, is how much is a life worth? Because if we're talking about innocent people being saved, then those lives need to be priceless, and that means it's worth putting all of those people in for life, so that eventually they can be released and not killed because they're innocent. And I think that trying to put a price tag on the lives of innocent people is wrong, and I don't think we need to address it first as a budget issue. I think we need to address it first as a moral issue. And so with that, there's also the moral issue of how can you say killing people is going to stop